مصلحا ومجددا فارنوا بنظر طاهر وجناني.
Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, dear viewers. With us today we have our beloved brother Rashad Nasser from San Francisco, and today we will hear how he found the true Islam, Islam Ahmadiyya. Assalamu Alaikum, dear brother.
Wa alaikum salam, brother. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I love Ahmadi's answers. It's, awesome show, a lot of information. And I learned a lot as well by watching your podcast.
Jazakallah, dear brother. That means a lot. And today we're really blessed to have you with us. And we hope to hear your story and share with the world, inshallah. So you can begin whenever you're ready. Jazakallah.
All right. So, Assalamu Alaikum, everyone. My name is Rashad Nasser. And, my journey into Ahmadiyya Islam, it actually came about with, I would say, the birth of my son. I was looking for more of a spiritual background, something that's more grounded and, and something that I believe that will fit me and my family. And so, and initially it was Islam. And I was always exposed to Islam, but I never took that initial step to actually become a Muslim. And so during my journey and, with the birth of my son, I started doing a lot of research. And so background information to let you know why the research was very important. I'm a middle school, well, now a high school teacher, and have a master's degree. And inshallah, I will be finished with my doctorate degree in educational leadership. And so research is something that I've been doing pretty much my whole life. And I just wanted to make sure that, that being an Ahmadi Muslim was the right choice. And so with this research, I came across tons of information about Ahmadi Islam. And so one of them was Brother Qasim Rashid. He was on Fox News. And, he was discussing Islam and he was giving that Fox News commentator, their work, so to speak. This man was trying to paint a negative portrait of Islam, and he expressed it and he broke it down in a way in which I respected and I understood. And so, with that, I was okay, who's, what is the Ahmadiyya Muslim community? So I started doing my research there. And so I came across the history aspect of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, which was about 100 years ago, and how it connected, to the African American community. And so with Brother Mufti Muhammad Sadiq, and how he, how he was like a major influence in converting African Americans during the Jim Crow era. And so basically reintroducing Islam, because Islam was always part of our culture, but not in large numbers to that degree. And so I just started doing my research, and it just stuck to me. I was like, wow, these brothers and sisters in the Midwest and places like Chicago and St. Louis, and these aren't easy cities to convince people to either convert, or just give up, their old way of life, so this brother Dr. Muhammad Sadiq, he must have had like a skill set of like very good public speaking, and the message of Islam and Ahmadiyya Islam, it resonated with the people, so they made that choice. And then also, he was a smart man too as well. He understood the movement that was going on of like Black liberation and just the freedom, justice, and equality. And so that also reached a lot of people as well. And so just feeling that story and just reading different stories and seeing news articles in the Sunrise newspaper, and just kind of reading the old school articles of how, Muslim men and women that, African-American Muslim men and women had, now have Muslim names and they are now connected to brothers and sisters in India. I can just imagine how that feels to the soul because of, a system of white supremacy in America at that time was very brutal. It was just right after slavery during Jim Crow South. And so for African Americans to really connect to Islam and then also have a connection outside of America, that's a good thing, because most African Americans who had only a connection outside of America was in the military. So that was the only time many of us got to leave the country. And so that really connected with me. And so, with that, I just started really digging deep and soul searching and really, and just really pretty much putting myself out there. I was like, all right, let me muster up some strength, and I'm just thinking about my family too, because, they may not have agreed with it. And so I was concerned about that. I was like, maybe my family may think I'm like, bailing out on them, but that wasn't the case. I just wanted something that was more firm, something that was strong, and something in which my son can grow up in. And, and that's being a Muslim, but what branch of Islam or what sect of Islam will be best fit for me. And so, I looked at the Sunnis. I looked at other, Muslim groups as well, but the Ahmadiyya Muslim community and just the story of how they connected with the African American community 100 years ago, and how those philosophies have influenced in the way Ahmadiyya Islam is, true Islam, how it influenced Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, and, and many others. And so I just felt that was like, oh, wow. And seeing a picture of Muhammad Ali praying in the Ahmadi, in the Ahmadiyya mosque, that was actually a big influence on me too as well. And so I was like, okay, so this Muslim group, they are some influential people in the African American community and also very well respected. And so I decided to reach out on Facebook to to the Imam of the Bay Point Jamaat. His name is Brother Khalid Khan, and we had the cake and coffee, and it turned out pretty well. And so he gave me the book of the philosophies of the teaching of Islam, by the Promised Messiah. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I read so many books. So he gave me that book, and I couldn't put it down. I could not put it down. And so, I will fall asleep on it. Then I have to get up in the morning and drive to work. And then I'm at work reading the book. So I read it like in maybe 3 days because I wanted to process some of the information too. So I'll go back and read some of the other chapters, but it stuck with me. And so, so I decided to become a Muslim, and it was like right after New Year's of 2018. 2018, January 14th, 2018, I decided to become a Muslim. And so with that, I met a lot of wonderful brothers. They welcomed me with open arms. The Bay Point Jamaat, open arms, and the Silicon Valley Jamaat too as well. They welcomed me with open arms. Went to Jelsa, brother Bajib Ijaz. He bought me a plane to go to the, to go to the Jelsa, the USA Jelsa. And that was like just a wonderful experience. And I met, tons of brothers, just awesome people, like-minded folks. And it was just like, what I like about the Ahmadiyya Muslim community too is just the melting pot. So it really didn't matter your skin color or anything like that. But I also did like the agency of, of African Americans too as well, because, African Americans are the natives of this land. And so, with us being, here, especially back in the day, we provided the space for Muslims from different countries, Ahmadi Muslims from different countries, to come to America and then have a space where we can all pray because we're all Ahmadis. And so just to see the leadership too as well of African Americans, because I've heard about incidents where African Americans or Black people in this country who are Muslims, they're not getting the respect as a Muslim. They're looked at as second class. And that was something that I felt that was problematic, because I never look at myself as second class nothing. And that's maybe because that's how I'm raised, and that's how I want to raise my son. So I always look at each other as equal, humans as equal. And so that was very influential to me. And I know I'm speaking more from an African American point of view, but that's the point of view that I'm coming from. And also, and I just love the brotherhood about the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. So that Jalsa, the U.S. Jalsa, really that really touched me. And so, I think I was just like, okay, cool. I'm gonna try to go to every single, Jalsa, or when I visit different countries, I want to see, every Jamaat. And so when I went to Trinidad that same year, a couple months after I went to the USA Jalsa, I believe, I went to Trinidad, and I met some brothers out there, the Trinidadian brothers, and they showed so much love, and they were just like, "Whoa, you from California? What are you doing out here?" But I was actually just there, just like vacationing, so to speak. It's my spring break, and being a teacher, I was like, I just want to chill. No kids are yelling at me, and so I get to, enjoy some of this Trinidadian sun, and it was a wonderful experience. And so I stopped by the mosque, and they welcomed me with open arms. The brothers welcomed me with open arms. They have really good food out there, so it's like a fusion of like Trinidadian and Indian food mixed into one. So it was just, it was just real good on my palate. And so they treated me very well out there. So I got a lot of love for Trinidad, the Trinidadian brothers. So I came back, and then I went to I was asked to go to London for the for the worldwide Jalsa, in the peace conference. And that was my first time being in Europe. I've been to mostly, on this side of the planet, the Western Hemisphere, Mexico a lot of times, and the Caribbean and Hawaii. But I haven't in Canada a couple of times too as well. I love Canada. Vancouver, I really love that city. But when I went to Toronto, not Toronto, but London, that was like such a amazing experience, because it was folks from all over the world, like literally all over the world. And it was just good that, I'm looking at this with my own eyes. I'm like, wow, like here are different folks from different countries, and we're all staying at the mission house. I forgot the name, but we're staying there in the tent. And it's brothers from Pakistan, brothers from like Nigeria, Ghana, Marshall Islands, Bangladesh, Indonesia. One brother I met from a small island, and I never forget this because he was such a kind-hearted brother. Small island off of the coast of Madagascar. It's called Mayotte. And I'm a history buff. I never heard of that country. I'm like, Mayotte, where's that? And he was like, and his English, he didn't know any English. He spoke French. And so it was actually a French territory, like it's part of France. And so one of the brothers who knew French was like, yeah, it's a French territory. And he was just, such a kind-hearted brother. And so the London experience was really cool. And I met some folks that was from America. I met a young brother that was from my hometown out in Southern California. So that was cool. So we got to connect. I was like, wait, hold on. You went to that high school? I went here. And it was like big rivalries between the high schools. But we were like from the same town in Southern California. So, Moreno Valley, that's the town out there. And so we were just like, we had a blast. We had a blast. And then, but the Molotov with the Khalifa, that was like the icing on the cake. So I can't even really explain that experience, because it was such like a experience that, I mean, it was like a spiritual fulfilling experience that actually really needed. And having a conversation with him, and from what Brother Rashid was telling me, he was like, that was a pretty long conversation. And just meeting him, and just and he was curious. He was like, wait, you're from California, educated man. What brings you to Ahmadiyya Islam? Like he was really curious about that. And I told him my story, and about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, it went on. And I told him my story, and he was really like fascinated about it. He was like, wow, and he said he had a lot of respect for the African-American community and just a lot of the hard work, that we do. And then even as Muslims, he believed, and this is what he said, like he believes that if the African-American community become Muslims, particularly Ahmadi Muslims, that Islam will, like Islam will be, like the West will probably be the place to be for Muslims. I'm taking it in that sense. I can't really, remember the words he was saying because I was still kind of like in awe a little bit. I was like, wow, I'm here with like the Khalifa of Islam. Like this is crazy. Like just last year I was, I was just chilling. It was summer vacation for me. I'm like, I'm just gonna chill and sleep and, play video games, from time to time, go to the gym, but I'm actually here with the Khalifa of Islam. So I thought that was really a wonderful experience. And so just being in London alone, that just really connected me more to be Ahmadi Muslim, and just meeting a lot of brothers with a lot of information and just the importance and how they were just telling me the importance of having a Khalifa. And to be honest, I didn't know how important it is because I never had anything to really judge it by. You know what I mean? But as I, started growing into Islam, particularly Ahmadiyya Islam, I started really getting a understanding of the importance of having a Khalifa, understanding and then getting a feeling and an understanding more of, why we need a Khalifa, especially the way Muslims are right now across the world. The disarray, the negativity, the stereotypes, all negative. All the, what we say in California, all the fly things about Islam and what Islam contributed to the world and society, that's overlooked. And I'm a teacher, and we have lessons on Islam, which is, state mandated. And when students find out I'm a Muslim, it kind of messes them up a little bit. They're like, whoa, hold on. I thought you were black. Wait, hold on. Why are you Muslim? Are you a terrorist or that and that? And these are children, they're 7th, 8th graders. And so, I have to break that down to them. They think that Allah is a whole different God. And I'm like, no, kids, it means God in Arabic. Even Christians who are Arab, they say Allah. They have clearly no understanding. And that's because of what is being propagated, in the media of negativity. A lot of kids didn't know Indonesia was the most populous Muslim country, and they're Asian. And it was kids, and I showed the pictures, and one of the kids who was Asian, she was like, wait, hold on. They're Asians. Why are they Muslim? And I'm like, well, because they are, But these are kids, and they have, like they were asking real questions, and I'm giving them real answers. And so, having that in mind, and even when I was speaking with the Khalifa, I have a responsibility to be, I feel like I was already a good person, but now that I'm representing Islam everywhere I go, and on top of that, being an Ahmadi Muslim, which I believe is the best of the best. So I have to represent myself accordingly. And so, whatever step I take, I'm representing the Jamaat as a whole, as a black man first, and then, and then Islam as well, because the only thing they see is a person being a Muslim. They don't see, the different sects of Islam. It's all the same to the average person. They have no idea. And so I have to represent So when they say, hey, Rashad's a Muslim, and sometimes, and I'm an American and I dress the way I dress, but I'm a Muslim and I represent it too, like I represent it, and I represent being an Ahmadi Muslim. And so with the respect that I have among some of my peers, and then becoming a Muslim and choosing to be an Ahmadi Muslim, a lot of folks ask me questions, and they also take, and they also take my opinion, with heart and some validity. And so, having that 15-minute conversation with the Khalifa, it just pretty much changed my life and put me in a trajectory where I feel like I just have to be the best Muslim that I can be, and, as well as the best Black man. And so being a Black man and being a Muslim, that's like the best of the best right there. And you have to represent, because even though there's a lot of negativity among, out there about African Americans, most of us are really good people. But on top of that, being a Muslim, it's like double. And some of my family had concern about that too as well, about being not only a Black man being targeted with the name Rashad, because that's not like my birth name. And then, now you're really with this Islam stuff. Now you're really a Muslim. Like, come on, dude. Like, you're really like putting a target on your head. And so I'm having those conversations with my brothers, and my brothers are like, it's like steel sharpens steel. It's like, and so they make sure I'm on point. My mom, that was a beautiful when she went to the West Coast Jalsa. So I went to the West Coast Jalsa, and she wanted to see what I was all about, because she even seen the difference. Like, she was like, wow, Rashad, you are better, like a better man. I used to big kick it. For those who know, the younger generation know what big kick it is. Used to hang out and party and do all that stuff. But when I became a Muslim, all that came to an end. But I always had like a cheerful personality. So it wasn't like I was always like just focused on, just changing who I am. I just became a better version of myself. I peeled away all the negativity, the big kicking it, out there doing the most, chase. I never really chased ladies, so I'm not going to say that, but, just out there living a carefree life, so to speak. And so when I got focused, became a Muslim, then I had my son. So he's looking at me, he's about to be 4 years old. And, that's my little sidekick. That's my little mini me, and he loves it. And so, he says, Assalamu Alaikum, Daddy, when he wakes up. When he sneezes, he says, Alhamdulillah. When he eats his food, say Bismillah, Inshallah. He's a wonderful kid. Wonderful kid, and he looks up to me, and I know that. And so I have to be a really good example for him. So he grows up in the Jamaat. He's gonna be on point. I came a little later in my life, so I'm still learning. And, with, being an adult, sometimes the learning is a little harder because you're not as flexible. But my son, it was more for him too as well. Me for sure, but for him as well, because I wanted him to grow up in the Jamaat, be around, brothers and sisters who are like-minded, and then also successful people too as well. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community have a lot of successful Muslims from all walks of life. And I think, and I know I'm kind of bouncing all over the place because I don't have any written notes. So look, my notepad is, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have these notes and hit, different points. But I think that right now is like a pivotal time where, where Islam can really show the good side of who we really are. You know what I mean? Especially with movements that are going on. A lot of people were asking, where are the Muslims at? Where are you guys at in this? And, we don't do all the, I don't want to talk about, negative about the rebellion going on, because, these things happen when negativity, racism, and laws are unjust. However, as Muslims, we take a stand firm against injustice. And the way we do things are a lot different the way other folks do things. You know what I mean? And so at least speaking out, changing some of these laws, me, I'm in education, so I'm always promoting justice. And so whatever way we can as Muslims can make a change, we should make that change. And we should stand firm on it, because what is just is just. And Ahmadiyya Muslim community have 100 years of experience in this. We got to think about, especially in America, I should say, coming from an American point of view, which influenced some of the greatest civil rights leaders and just humanitarians known to man. The greatest boxer, humanitarian known to man, Muhammad Ali. And for me, one of the strongest orators and one of the most intelligent people. And also, I mean, he could have been probably one of the top-notch lawyers, Malcolm X. Just an amazing brother and an amazing Muslim. And, he also was influenced by the Ahmadiyya Muslim community too, as well. By being, when he was, imprisoned in the penitentiary when he was younger. And so, we have a lot of good examples. And then we have our own brothers and sisters who's been doing good work, who names aren't in the spotlight. And that's how we can produce justice. Also, a brother gave me, a real good brother out here, Brother Jamil. He gave me, he sent me a book, The Detroit Address. I believe that's what it is. I have it in my email. And he sent me the PDF, and I read that about Islam in America. And I believe it was the fourth Khalifa or the third Khalifa.
Yeah, the fourth Khalifa.
Okay. So the fourth Khalifa written that book, and he was out here in America, and he really he really was looking at what was going on in America. And he also made his assessment saying that, with Black Americans, Islam can, grow to its full potential. So, because it's what I believe is who we really are. We have a lot of folks out here who are just say, they throw the baby out with the bathwater. They're just all the way done with it. They're like, hey, I'm done with religion. I'm over it, because they kind of take it. They're looking at it from a Christian point of view of how, our former slave masters, how they use this against us. And in many cases, they still do. But Islam is completely different. It's not, this is to empower you. This is to make you a better person. It's the will of Allah. When you say things like that, you're really leaving, you're leaving up to God, if it's in Allah's hands, inshallah, all that is when you saying these things, you're just, it's all about God. It's all about God. And that's what most African-American Christians are all about. However, unfortunately, in this country, it's been weaponized against many African Americans, and it left us in a state, which I believe in a state of confusion, because it lets, outsiders, who have negativity could come and influence you in a negative way. While in Islam, it's very hard for them to crack that, so that's why it was such a strong resistance against African Americans being Muslims in this country, because number one, the discipline of a Muslim, think about that. You have to fast. You don't have to, but, it's a requirement to fast for a month. No water, no food. So right there, you're controlling, with the will of Allah, you're controlling what you put in your body. That is mental strength, that's heart, and that's faith. And so, and not in that order, but, that right there just tells a person, wow, this person will be very hard to break. And so even when they were, having conversations and trying to break different Black Muslims, it was very hard for them to crack, to crack that Black Muslim. it was very hard for them. And so, that's where I believe that the propaganda came in. But now here we are 100 years later and in a global pandemic, and we had probably one of the world's biggest rebellions, because this was global. Like, I'm looking all over. It was going down in Canada for sure. All 50 states in America, some in Latin America, some in Africa, Europe, some in Asia, which I was surprised it was going down out there too. So we have this going on. And then so now people are looking for they're looking for something spiritual too, because that's what's missing. When you have such a system that's unjust, and people for a long time was going along with this. So, part of us as human beings, we're like, why are we going along with such an unjust system that God does not even want us to go along with? You know what I mean? Like, if you think about that, it's like, this is so wrong, and it's wrong. That person's getting mistreated. You don't say anything. Then you look at Islam within itself, all these different fights, and people are mistreating one another within the Muslim community. And in America, it's not so much, but you do have people who say, "Oh, you're Ahmadi Muslim. That's not real Islam. You faking, stuff like that." And so you even have people that don't have no idea what's going on, taking on other folks, other folks' ideas of what an Ahmadi Muslim is. And when I break down the history of it, I say, well, hey, look, here's the history. Where were the Sunnis when we were, in these neighborhoods getting discriminated against, not allowed in some of their mosques during that time 100 years ago? They didn't go out here, talking to African Americans, welcoming us, bridging that gap, even joining or being a part of some of the revolutionary movements, and I read stories about that too. And so when I break down the history part of it, sometimes a lot of folks get kind of, and then they get to name calling again. I'm like, all right, you lost the argument, because once you start name calling, that means you lost. And I'm a jokester, so sometimes I'm petty and I start putting little memes on them, and but overall, I think this is the time that us as Muslims and Ahmadi Muslims, we can actually reach out. And plus, everyone's locked down. We're all in the house, and so we have the internet tools. We have Ahmadi Answers, who, man, I love a lot of your shows. I mean, you go in on these, muftis and all these other guys who are out here, talking bad and then giving Islam a bad name too as well. There was one guy that you had, I forgot his name, but the dude said something like he drink. It was one of your episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. I was like, hold on. He said, "Oh yeah, I drink. I drink." But it's like it's from Saudi Arabia. Like, that's cool. Like, I don't care where the alcohol come from. That's alcohol.
On the website though, he publicly did apologize now. And
Okay.
So at least he did that much. At least he did that much. But even when he apologized, he kind of said, "I never really said that," but then I showed that he really did so. But he apologized. So a lot of his followers even accused him that, "Why are you saying this on live television?" And then he said that, the people who made that video were Ahmadis and these people hate me, when that's not true.
Right. I mean, right. So there's a lot of that type of, type of negativity that I believe that's just uncalled for, because for a person who's not Muslim, they just see a bunch of nonsense. They see people arguing, and a lot of times they leave certain religions, Christianity, for, so to speak, because of the bickering, because of the drama. That's human nature. So that shouldn't deter anybody. Overall, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, in my experience, was nothing but love. Nothing but love. And also, I'm from California, so I do have a different outlook on life and just meeting different cultures. I always felt like, the more people the more friends you have. To me, that's like currency. That's like my wealth, because I'm gaining wealth of knowledge, different perspectives. even when I talk to some of my African American brothers, you know, a lot of them grew up being an Ahmadi Muslim, like, you know, family from 100 years ago. So they're, you know, they're in it. And so even just sitting down talking to, you know, a lot of the older brothers and just hearing, you know, their story and how, and I mean, some of these brothers tear up when they talk about the promised Messiah, you know, and just some of the, like, one brother was reading, he said he almost read all of his material. And I looked on some of them links, that's a lot of material the promised Messiah had. And so I'm like, wow, so this brother's like, you know, dedicated to being a Muslim and dedicated to the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. And that was just a beautiful thing, because he's like literally paying homage to, you know, the brothers and sisters here in America, and then also globally too as well. And then just to have that amount of respect in the community too. So I thought that was just a beautiful thing. And even my mom, she loved it. Like, there's also a serious misconception about women being like suppressed as Muslims. I'm like, y'all are tripping. No, they're not. And so my mom, she had that vision. She was like, oh, well, do I have to do this? And why I can't be with the men and all that? I'm like, Mom, you know, I'm just trying to break it down in terms that where she can understand, like, hey, Mom, you know, hey, you know, why, Mom? Because, you know, the reason why, because we are praying to God. So human nature is human nature, you know, and plus the way we pray, you know, that will be inappropriate. That would literally be inappropriate. And Mom, and trust me, the woman section is probably more popping than ours, you know, because, I mean, you know, women are a lot more, I believe, organized than dudes. And then, you know, and they be more on point sometimes. And that's just my opinion. So my mom, she went and she was like in amazement. She was like, wait, she's like, yo, son, the ladies were just running everything. And, you know, I saw, you know, this, you know, one lady, she was, you know, like she was the leader of the group. And, you know, and she was, you know, our section was good. She was like, I was so glad to be away from the guys. Like our section was, you know, just like you guys, or probably even better. And so, you know, she really enjoyed her, you know, experience. And so the second day of the West Coast Joseph, she woke up early. She was like, hey, are we going to go to the Joseph? I'm like, yeah, Mom, we're going to go. And so, you know, she went. My younger brother, he went. And so my family, they just wanted to really see what, you know, like, you know, what made me have such a positive change. Even my younger brother, who, you know, me and him are like, you know, real close. And he was like, you know, Rashad, like, this is the best version of yourself. Like, I'm still me. It's just the negativity, you know, or I would say the baggage of, you know, the negativity that I would say that I may have had, you know, it peeled off, And so even my brother's like, yo, it's just a better version of you. Even like my teaching, I felt like I've been a better person. Even though some folks still, you know, it's still a lot of Islamic pushback amongst educators, you know, so to speak. But just how I handle myself and conduct myself as a Muslim, you know, and my goal to produce justice, you know, I gained a lot of respect just by, you know, who I am as a Muslim. And so, and that's looking at examples of brothers and sisters in the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, you know, how to deal with things. And so, you know, I would just basically say, like, overall, for those who are interested in becoming a Muslim, I will, you know, I'm put the pom-poms on. I represent my team. It will be the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. Just hands down, the support system is there. Brothers are always reaching out. There's tons of material to read. So you can't really say, I don't know what's going on. And there's also, like, just brothers are constantly reaching out to other brothers and sisters too as well. And then for any of the ladies who are interested in being a Muslim, listen, you're not going to be oppressed. In fact, you're going to have a support system of sisters who are doing great things. You know what I mean? And it's, you know, like some people believe, oh, I have to dress like this. I have to. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. However, if you want to represent, represent, you know. But I believe the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, will be very, very great in a time like this, particularly for African Americans. And so I think the Khalifa words, I think they're going to come true because it's just more people who are interested in Muslim stories. I'm hearing more African Americans speaking out on becoming Muslim. I heard a podcast where African Americans were talking about the anti-Black racism in Islam. I'm like, I haven't experienced any of that as an Ahmadi Muslim. Now, there's cultural differences from people from different cultures, but then when you start talking to different folks from different cultures, there's differences within the culture too, just like any other culture, so but that's not what is going on as far as what was going on with the Sunnis, where they're just Xing out some of the imams, saying, oh no, you have a Black imam, and that's not the case here. And so, because Ahmadiyya Muslim community under the Khalifa, he's very intentional about freedom, justice, and equality as well. And so all that nonsense, and plus you got to think about it, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, he's completely against that too, as well as racism, sexism, things like that. All these isms that separate people, where we should all be joined in unity. And so the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, true Islam, I would have to say, has always been on the forefront for that. And that's like my major reason why I'm an Ahmadi Muslim, and I still represent it, through and through. And my son, he's grown up to be an Ahmadi too as well. And I just think that overall this is, the right choice for me.
Jazakallah, dear brother, a really inspiring and motivating speech by yourself. Just some questions I want to ask. So, what do you actually teach? What courses do you teach in school?
Okay, so right now I'm teaching ethnic studies and U.S. history. So, ethnic studies is basically like a new course they're doing in California, where it teaches about different ethnicities and like in the USA. And so it's more of bringing together, celebrating the youth and their ethnic backgrounds. And so it's basically like a rollout program. So it's pretty new. And so we have we can add things to it. So we have a little more freedom. And so what I always like to do is, even when I was teaching my history class for middle school, I bring different food. And so being amongst a lot of Pakistani brothers, I started liking some of the Pakistani food. So I brought some Pakistani food, for the kids, and some of it's like spicy and hot. And, a lot of them ate my food up. I'm like, you're supposed to have one. And they, so they're starting to enjoy it. And so just bringing like food brings people together. And so having like potlucks in class and things like that. So different cultures and potluck. And so I brought Pakistani food. One of the kids, she was Pakistani. She was like, oh, it smells like my house in here. And so, it was just all love. And so, yeah, I teach history. So my credentials in history. And right now I'm currently at the high school, out here in California, and doing ethnic studies in U.S. history right now.
MashaAllah. So when it comes to the condition of the United States today, how would you see that Ahmadiyya can change that?
Man, there's so many conditions that can be, where we can be a help of. And so, obviously the anti-Black racism is a huge condition. And so speaking out against it, reaching out, working with different organizations, which many of us are a part of too. And we have people in positions that are against, against those injustice. Also, there's in California, I can say, it's just a huge homeless population, and which I think that, and many brothers do it too out here as well, is they give food to the homeless, out there cooking for the homeless, and even sometimes providing, shelter and help for the homeless too as well. And so I just think that right now, and even in a pandemic like this, a lot of us are putting ourselves at risk, but you know what? It's all in Allah's hands, and where we're helping, folks out. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's helping. So I think most of it, we're doing a good work, but in America, right now, it has to be all hands on deck. Like, where if you have a voice, even if you have like money, support, support your Jamaat, come with some ideas so that we can be out here and I mean and represent, which ultimately will bring people to you too as well.
Jazakallah, dear brother. Really inspiring story by yourself today. And in the end, we request all viewers to pray for this series as well, that it continues to grow. And if they have any converts in mind, they can email me their contact information. I'd love to interview them as well. Once again, dear brother, and an amazing story by yourself. Jazakallah for your time. May Allah bless you and your son. Ameen.
All right. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum assalam.
All right.
If you have not yet subscribed, make sure to subscribe and click on the bell icon so you can get notifications for every new video. Also, make sure to like and comment on the video and follow on Twitter and Instagram.
سفينا صل على محمد